Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry.
This is Ron DeSantis. He suffers from Frownington's disease, which causes his smile to look more like he's wincing from sitting on his own testicles.
Okay.
Court sees through Ron DeSantis' lies behind the law banning medical care for trans youth.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So, just let me smack my microphone. This year has all been downhill for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. His presidential aspirations are going up in smoke thanks to his complete lack of charisma and general campaign incompetence. His losing war against Disney is costing Florida taxpayers millions of dollars, and now a federal court all but called DeSantis a liar for the way he justified his ban on medical care for trans youth. So if you'll recall, this is where, like, in Florida, basically, if a doctor if anyone seeks medical care for a trans kid, they can be like they call that child abuse, and like, oh, that's
Didn't
not
he also
allowed.
try to make it illegal to go out of Florida to seek that as well?
Yep. I mean, they've all been doing it. Texas has been doing that.
Yeah. I feel like being in a quote free country and then being told you can't travel for healthcare, it makes me want to crave some of the other ways the United States has classically gained its freedoms. Yeah, just throw a little tea in the Boston Harbor, you know.
What's amazing to me about that is, like, these same people are the people who, like, defend the Confederacy and be like, oh no, it wasn't about slavery, it was about states' rights. And it's like, okay, yeah, states' rights to do what? But, like, why are you trying to infringe on other states' rights? Why are you trying to make these things that are supposed to be states' rights national? Like, you're Florida. Don't worry about what people do outside of Florida. That's none of your goddamn business. At least if you're gonna be consistent, it's none of your goddamn business. But when has the GOP ever been consistent?
They will always operate within what is most convenient for them at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry. Religious liberty good unless it's a statue of Baphomet, or unless we call abortion a religious right.
Yep.
Then it's bad.
Yeah. So DeSantis repeatedly claimed that the law was necessary to prevent youth from being mutilated, which, of course, anyone who actually spends 10 seconds looking into it knows that that's not what happens. Like, in some very rare cases, you might find someone that got a mastectomy when they were 16. And, like, that's it. No dicks are getting chopped off. No fake dicks are getting put on. None of the stuff they're fear-mongering about is actually happening.
Especially considering that, like, most of those procedures we will not do unless somebody has gone under hormone therapy for a certain amount of time. There's already a year or two that you can't do it in anyway.
Yeah. So when I was saying maybe sometimes you'll find a 16-year-old who has had a mastectomy, what that ends up being is, like, the rare instance where you have that, they started hormone therapy when they were like 12, or they started puberty blockers when they were like 12. They've been in therapy. They have consistently presented as the gender that they're transitioning to. They're otherwise mentally healthy. Like, there's so many restrictions on it but like, these guys are presenting it as like, oh yeah, all a little girl needs to do is be like, I'm a boy now, and then immediately they schedule her for surgery and chop her tits off. And it's like, okay, well, first off, why are you so concerned about the boobs of minors? Like, that's a bit creepy. Maybe mind your own business. But like, more importantly, that's just not what fucking happens.
Yeah, so I'm gonna shout out another creator real quick who does a ton of work on this. If you ever want to learn, like, how to see through a lot of this kind of skeezy language that is used for these articles and these bills, Aaron Reed on Twitter. Aaron does a fuck ton, like, to the point where I wonder how they function. Fuck ton of reporting on anti-trans bills. So if ever you are wondering, hey, wait a minute, is this bill actually, not for the betterment of children's lives, but actually for the restrictions of trans people's rights? Erin's probably talked about it already. She's probably a good place to go.
Yeah. And DeSantis says, and when you talk to people, and I know like people in your industry will dress it up with a euphemism and they'll say it's healthcare to cut off the private parts of a 14-year-old or 15-year-old. That's not healthcare, that's mutilation. Like, okay, but like as we just discussed, that's not actually happening. So the fact that you're saying that is just a lie. That's just plain and simple. It's a lie.
I love living in America. I would say don't you, but I know you don't.
I don't. I love living in Canada.
Where you have fewer of these problems.
I like my free healthcare and my relatively cheap scotch. Anyway, back to Rhonda.
Rhonda Santis.
Rhonda Santis. Rhonda says, when I'm analyzing this is the judge. Sorry. Judge Hinkle. When I'm analyzing the governor's motivation, what should I make of these statements? Hinkle asked here at a hearing on the law. This seems to be more than just hyperbole. He's presiding over a challenge to the law by 3 families with trans kids. He has issued a stay against the law from taking effect while it's being challenged. And he was also the judge that struck down Florida's ban on Medicaid coverage for gender-affirming care. And in that decision, he wrote, gender identity is real. Because it fucking is. It's just
if gender identity is not real, then how are all these people identifying? It's one of those things like when somebody says a non-binary person doesn't exist, and then just like a bunch of NBs come out and go,
"Hi, I'm here." I pinched
myself. I seem to be here right now, though. Strange.
Yeah. So Hinkle said he wondered if the plaintiffs could prove DeSantis supported the law because he hates trans people. The attorney for the family said that the law is unconstitutional as written, so his motives are not the deciding factor. However, I feel like his motives should be taken into account, like he clearly does hate trans people, so maybe we should not let him write laws about trans people. Be like, if a legislator is an out and like just obvious Nazi, maybe don't let them write laws that are going to affect Jewish people.
Didn't we?
Or maybe just don't vote for them, because like, yeah, don't vote for Trump is the message there.
Didn't we do something similar with this with McCarthy years and years and years ago? The whole like famous clip, at long last, have you no sense of decency left? Like, wasn't the character and intent behind his actions actually considered a deciding factor? Finally,
I don't remember.
I need to go brush up on my Red Scare lore.
Yeah, so DeSantis has been basically relying on his anti-trans stuff to, win over the MAGA crowd that might be worried about Trump being a bit too unhinged. But like DeSantis is equally unhinged.
So he tries to, and now I recognize there is logic in that strategy. I understand there's logic in that strategy, but I'm going to say it in the most stupid terms possible. He's going to try to make himself seem less unhinged by supporting genocide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Got it.
All right.
Good to
That's
know.
just it. This judge doesn't like Ron DeSantis, and he's likely going to strike down the laws that DeSantis is passing. And DeSantis is not going to be president anytime soon. Thank fuck.